the cat is out of the bag, the honeymoon period is over, so it's time for them to kind of like make a bit of a statement and explain us. What is up, everybody? Skratch coming up with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Welcome to the channel, everyone. In today's video, we're gonna talk about Freeze Champions and the new Fire Knight dungeon. The honeymoon period is over, the cat is out of the bag, and I feel like we need some changes because the strategy that Plarium intended for us to use against the Fire Knight is just not what it seems. It's just not, reliable, it's not working properly, and I'm gonna explain you a bit why, and I'm gonna talk about a few Freeze Champions that I think they need a bit of a rework at the moment, right? Like, if you're able to land the freeze on the Fire Knight boss, you're gonna drop 15% of the turn meter. And that might sound good if you're looking at some specific champions, but it's just not enough. The main reason is that the boss has 245 speed, if I'm not mistaken, or 250. For you to be able to overlap the boss, like you used to do before on stage 25, you're gonna need to have 350 plus speed, which is just something that's not available for the majority of people, not accessible to have so much speed gear and to still be able to rack the waves in a decent manner of time. So either they're gonna have to play a bit around and tweak the stats on the boss just to make it more accessible, either they're gonna have to buff the freeze debuff on the actual boss and drop 25% turn meter per freeze, or maybe even 30% turn meter per freeze. That might make it a bit better, but still is not going to be what it used to be with Allure on stage 25. It's just not working in the same way. And a lot of you guys might be like, Skratch is a challenge. Yeah, I agree. It's good to have a challenge in the game, 100%. But it feels like Valkyrie is so freaking important on this boss. Like, without Valkyrie is just almost becoming impossible. You can still play it around a bit if you're getting stupid speeds on your champions. But honestly, just having the shield and the counter attack to keep your champions alive is very important, because the boss will take a turn regardless, you know? So I feel like it's definitely not great at the moment. They definitely need to do something about it. And if we're talking about freeze champions, like, yeah, we have hirimani, we have quite a few different champions, and I feel like the biggest bait at the moment is Yakal the Scourge. So if you're gonna go and invest in this champion thinking that that's it, he's gonna destroy the Fire Knight on his own, well, guess what? He's just not gonna do it, and it's pretty hard for me to recommend you now to build it. Even I made a video, and I'm sorry for it, thinking that freeze champions will be powerful against this boss, thinking that yes, this strategy will actually work, without knowing how fast the boss will actually be, you know? And yeah, that's actually just not what we thought is going to be. Yakal right here, he has attacks one enemy 2 times, fully booked, a 50% chance of placing a freeze. Unfortunately, this is not enough. He will need to have, I don't know, 75% chance to land the freeze, even 100% chance to land the freeze from the A1, 80% chance. This needs to get buffed if we want to use freeze champions on the boss. And I don't think just bringing in new freeze champions that are much better will be solving our issue, you know? The old champions that we have in the game, they're just not powerful enough as freeze champions. They definitely need to have a bit of a buff, a bit of a rework. And Yakal is one of them. Like, yeah, this is a great skill. You get decreased speed and a chance to land freeze, but is on a 3-turn cooldown, is a single hit. You're not gonna get much value out of it if you're not able to drop the shield down. And this again, you're gonna have another chance to land the freeze, but again, is a single hit. I'm not saying he's not gonna be helpful on the waves, don't get me wrong. He can definitely work a bit on the waves, but just as a freeze champion, relying on him, because he's one of the most reliable freeze champions that we have in the game, is just not powerful enough. And I feel like he definitely needs to have a bit of a rework, maybe add an extra hit in here, and yes, keep the chance to 40%, a triple hit, that will make him better. Maybe make the A2 a double hit, and that will make him better for the boss as well. The main thing that is very hard to do on the Fire Knight at the moment is to drop the shield. 21 hits is a lot, man, and considering how fast the boss is just so freaking hard to keep that shield down. Honestly, you're gonna need your Yakal at 330 plus speed in order to get some work done with it, you know, to overlap the boss. Of course, it's not 100%. That's it. You need 350 speed, and it's gonna work. You need to tune it. You can lower a bit the speeds and stuff, but it's still not gonna work as it should, you know. And definitely not a great thing. Another thing that I recently learned about Hirimani, for example. So she really looked like she was gonna be the GOAT in here. You get some heals, support, which is nice because you're gonna need it, and then attacks 3 times at random, has a 25% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. Well, when you're looking at this skill, you're gonna be like, okay, so 3 hits, 3 chances to land freeze. Well, think about it again. That is not the way it works. So in the coding, basically Hirimani only has 1 chance to land the freeze with 1 of the hits. And that's it. It's not gonna be a chance per hit. And the chance is extremely low as well. So Hirimani is definitely in a massive need of a buff. She needs to have this reworked a bit to ensure that every single hit will attempt to land the freeze, will have a chance to land it. And that chance as well definitely needs to go up to at least 50% minimum if we want to have a chance at playing against the Fire Knight with freeze champions. Unfortunately, it's just not the case at the moment. Probably a lot of you guys attempted to do it. Let me know in the comments down below. You managed to do anything successful with freeze champions against the Fire Knight. And I'm not talking about stage 1. I'm talking about stage 10. How is that playing out for you guys? Like, you managed to get anything consistent out of it? And let me just say it like this. When I tried to make the team to play it around with different DPS champions instead of having 2 cold hearts. So I used to have my Valkyrie with counter attack, Cardiel with ally attack, Tomb Lord with triple hit, and Tomb Lord had Phantom Touch. I had a cold heart with 6-star Phantom Touch, and then I replaced the 5th champion. And I tried it with Foley, I tried it with Krutraxa, I tried it with different champions that had a 3 hit on the A1. With Xavier, for example. And guess what? That was not working anymore because I was not able to keep the shield down enough in order to do damage with my Cold Heart or with the other champions to land the debuffs on the boss. And this was the main issue. So many hits required, and unfortunately, the freeze champions are just not reliable enough. My plan at the beginning was like, you know what? We have this freaking awesome epic champion in here, Gorey. He's gonna be so freaking powerful. With the A1, a double chance to hit, right? Places an extra hit if the target is under a freeze, which is not gonna happen because the freeze debuff doesn't stay on the boss, but still is a double hit. And then you have this skill, which is a 3-time hitter and 100% chance fully booked to land the freeze. I was like, that's it. This is going to be the new allure. But unfortunately, it's just not the case. And it's such a bummer that we got excited for freeze champions and they're just not playing it out. I feel like it's kind of like a deja vu when they introduced the Bommel, the Dreadhorn boss, and everything was like bomb champions, bomb champions. And we got excited. We tried using bomb champions and it was an epic fail. We're just not working. And I feel like it's the exact same thing here. Then, of course, they changed the Bommel a bit and bomb champions are more effective now. But I feel like something like this needs to happen for the Fire Knight as well. Either they're going to increase the chance for the freeze to drop the turn meter from 15% to 30 to 25 to make it a bit more like, yeah, this is actually making more sense. Either they're going to have to completely buff all these freeze champions that we have in the game. How I mentioned, just bringing in new freeze champions that can do it is just not reliable enough, you know, like that's not what we need in the game because most of us won't be able to get those champions. It will be pretty hard to get the new champions unless they're making them guaranteed, and if we don't have shards saved up for it, we're still not gonna be able to get them. So I don't know how to feel about it. Like, it's definitely a big miss here with the freeze champions in my opinion. This skill won't really help you. Then you have Bixnil. So if we're actually paying attention at Bixnil and we're checking her kit, you know, the A1 is a single hit, doesn't do nothing against the boss. She should have multi-hits in here. I feel like they knew that they were going to release this content like months ago. Maybe 1 year ago, they knew exactly what they were going to do to the Fire Knight in the future on the higher stages. And they changed Bixnil because the community wanted to have this skill AoE, which again, even if they were not changing it to AoE and they were keeping it at 4 random hits, guys, was just not going to be good enough. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, fully booked, and it's just not reliable enough considering that the A1 is a single hit. You won't be able to use multiple champions of single hits in the Fire Knight, unfortunately. The A2, again, doesn't really do much for you either. The passive is decent, but again, the Fire Knight doesn't actually freeze you, you know? You need to freeze the boss, so no matter how Bixnil was kept in the game, she wasn't gonna be good anyway, you know. I know because I've seen this, a lot of people saying like Bixnil was gonna be so good if they were keeping her with the random hits, and I can't remember if there were 4 hits or 5 hits on this skill. Correct me in the comments down below if you guys remember. But because the skill is on such a long cooldown, will be completely irrelevant, unfortunately, and that's the biggest issue. If by any chance the freeze could go through the shield, that would make it better because you're going to be able to land the Terminator with the Yakal with the A1 even if the shield is up, so that will allow your team to slowly rotate a bit more often because you're dropping some Terminator, the other ones can get in another hit, you're dropping the shield, you can drop more Terminator, but the issue is the boss hits extremely hard, so if you don't have a shield, if you don't have 3.2k defense, 45k plus HP, you're gonna get hammered. And just thinking about other champions that have freeze, like yeah, we have quite a few AoE freeze champions, but unfortunately they're just not good for the Fire Knight. Gorgo, for example, there we go. Then extra hit if the target has freeze is not gonna happen. Again, extra hit if the target has freeze is not gonna happen because the freeze doesn't stay like a normal debuff on the boss. So all these champions are actually very, very weak against the Fire Knight. And I didn't saw this coming. I feel like nobody saw this coming. We really thought that freeze champions will get their moment to shine now, finally, you know. But unfortunately, it's not the case. Keep Kringral as well. He can land a freeze and an HP burn for 3 turns if the target is under HP burn. But then again, it's a single hit, and it's just not working out, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think Plarium should do about the Fire Knight? You think they should change the way the boss works, lower a bit the stats, maybe allow the freeze to penetrate the shield, and like this will definitely be more viable to use a freeze strategy, and buff freeze champions like Hirimani, for example. Such a disappointment to know that she can only land 1 freeze with that A1, and that's mainly because of the coding. Yeah, what should Plarium do about the Fire Knight dungeon? The carry's out of the bag, the honeymoon period is over, so it's time for them to kind of like make a bit of a statement and explain us. Like, look guys, we thought that freeze champions might be a bit more reliable. We kind of like overthinked it and it's not the case, so we're planning on doing something about it. We're planning to change stats and stuff. Would be nice for them to kind of like let us know what's their plan with it, you know. But if you guys have any ideas whatsoever, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to find out different opinions on the topic as well. But that was all for this video. Much love, appreciate all of you guys watching, and I'll catch you all soon in the next video. Peace.